السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. أما بعد، أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقل رب زدني علما. صدق الله العظيم. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of His bounties upon us, and once again we meet on an educational lesson. Yesterday we had done Surah Al-Fatiha, and we had done a few important aspects of Tajweed. So the letters that we have covered thus far were a'u, a'udhu, the dal, the tip of the tongue touching the bottom of the two top front teeth. A'udhu billahi minash shaytan, the ta, not a ta. And we said the ta and the ta both are pronounced by putting the tip of the tongue at the root of the two top front teeth. So, minash shaytanir rajim, bismillahir rahman, the ra with a zabar on it, a fatha, will always be read with a full mouth. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim, the big ha again. Thereafter we did a few important aspects of Surah Al-Fatiha. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We said we will not be reading as Alhamdulillah, but rather Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. These are the three ayat that we did yesterday. Today, inshallah, we continue further, and a very important aspect which has been brought to my notice is the letter Jim should be read as a Jim and not as a Jim. Sometimes it is read as a CH, Jim. But Jim, A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. It is very important to keep that in mind as well. Carrying on today, we will be doing the next ayat, and these ayat are very important because they are very, very important principles that refer to these ayat. So for example, we're starting here, Iyyaka na'budu. Now the word Iyyaka, if we look at the ya, it has got a tashdid on it. Tashdid means that there are two letters essentially that are being read. So we're not going to read Iyyaka, not iyaka, but iyaka. You can hear iyaka. So if you want, for better of understanding, iyaka. This is very, very, very important. Very one of the common mistakes is it is read as iyaka na'budu, what I said is not correct. It should be read as iyaka. Thereafter, the word ka should not be dragged. We won't read Iyyaka na'budu. No, it must be read together. Iyyaka na'budu. Now, Noon and Ain. This Ain must be read from the throat. Now, the letter Ain is pronounced from the middle of the throat, and therefore it must not be Na'budu. Na'budu. No, Na'budu. Thereafter, the word Dal does not have a waw with a sukoon after it. So not Iyyaka na'budu wa there's no na'budu. It must not be pulled. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka. Again, tashdid, not Iyyaka. Iyyaka. This is another important thing for us to keep in mind. Thereafter, the word nasta'een. Now you can see I have written it separately to make us understand that the nasta'een is another word. Iyyaka is one word and nasta'een is another word. So very often when we're reading, now we can keep in mind that wa iyyaka nasta'een. Now here the ka also must not be pulled. So not wa iyyaka nasta'een. No, wa iyyaka nasta'een. Now if we put emphasis on the noon being the starting of a new word, it will make it easier for us to read this joiningly. So, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. Again here, the ain must be read from the throat. Now these are a few of the important aspects of this particular ayah. Iyaka, taking into consideration the ya with a tashdeed on it. It must be read correctly. Iyaka na'budu, no waw after the dal. Wa iyaka nasta'een, the ain, also very, very important. Thereafter, the next verse has got a few important things to take into consideration. And this is where many of us make a mistake. If we take the next word, ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Let us do one word at a time. Ihdina. Now this ihdina very often is read as ihdinas sirat. It's not Neither is there a big higher. So it must not be read as ihdina. No. Ihdina sirat. And notice there is no echo on the ha. So not ihdina, no. Ihdina sirat, ihdina sirat. Very, very important. Most commonly this mistake is made where it is read as ihdina or ihdina or ihdina. So to make this, to pronounce it with precision. Now this is again the beauty of the Qur'an. There is no leeway to read it according to how we want, but rather listen to the beauty of reciting the Qur'an with tajweed, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed it. So importantly here, ihdinas sirat, here the sad. Now here when we are pronouncing the sad, there is a difference between a sad and a sin. A difference between sad and a sin. Now to come to an important aspect, the sin and the sad are both pronounced when the tip of the tongue touches the edge of the two top front teeth and the bottom teeth. The difference between the two, so the place where it is pronounced from is the same. However, there is a quality of the sad which will differentiate it from a sin. And what is that? When the tongue, the back, the middle of the tongue and the back will go up towards the palate, that will give you the effect of a sad. When the tongue is left down, it will give you the effect of a sin. So this is something that we should keep in mind. So the teeth in front that we are referring to are known as the incisors. So if you look at the central incisors, when the tip of the tongue touches that, you will get the sin and the sad. And the difference with a sad is when the palate, the tongue will go up towards the palate. That is how the sad will be pronounced. So not ihdina sira, not si. The tongue must go up towards the palate. Then the ra again with a fatha on it will be read with a full mouth, as we did previously, the letter ra. So not ihdina sira, not sira, but ihdina sira. So that is also another important aspect for us to keep in mind. The sin and the sad both have got a quality which for us, for our understanding, it is similar to a whistling sound. So both of these have got the sin and the sad together, have got that quality, ihdina sira. You will get that slight whistle effect. The next word, ihdina siratal mustaqim. Sin, again pronounced by the tip of the tongue, touching the edges of the central incisors, the two top teeth and the bottom teeth. Now the qaf. The difference between a qaf and a kaf, what is the difference between the two? The qaf and the kaf are pronounced from almost the same place. However, the qaf will be pronounced when the major part of the tongue at the back will be raised towards the palate. The extreme back of the tongue will be raised towards the palate. Now the easiest way to pronounce a letter correctly is to put a hamza before it with a fatha. So for example, the word qaf, if you want to know where to pronounce it, you put a hamza before it, aq. This will give us a clear understanding of how it is to be pronounced. So for example, if we take the word qaf and you want to pronounce it, you put a hamza and you put a jazm on it. So aq. Now, when you feel your tongue going towards the palate, it must be the extreme back of the tongue. So here, this is where the qaf is pronounced from. And the major difference between a qaf and a kaf is that the kaf is pronounced with an open mouth, where the tongue will not raise towards the palate, but the qaf, the back extreme of the tongue will go up towards the palate. Now this may seem very intricate. And for the beginning, it will be intricate. But once you get into it and you master it, it becomes very, very, very easy. So to recap what we have done today, the word iyaka, the tashdeed, na'budu, the ain, no pulling after the dal, no pulling after the kaf. These are wherever there is a fatha, there is nothing after it, it must be read continuously. The word ihdina, not ihdina, and not ihdina, but rather a small ha and no echo sound on it. Ihdina. Now this echo sound is only found in a few letters. Amongst them is a qaf. So for example, if a qaf has got a jazm on it, it will be read with an echoing sound. So if we were to read this, we would read aq, with an echoing sound. Then the sad, which will be pronounced different to a sin. And then in the word mustaqim, the qaf must be read from the back of the throat. So these are some of the important letters that we have done today. The letter ta and dal, which we had done earlier, are also pronounced from the very similar place where the ta is pronounced from. That is putting the tip of the tongue on the root of the upper central incisors, the two top front teeth. The difference between a ta and a ta is that the ta will be pronounced by the center of the tongue raising towards the palate, whereas a ta will not have that. This is some of the important lessons that we have learned for today. So let us again read Surah Al-Fatiha. Up to this point here, we can concentrate on it so that we know exactly where our common mistakes are. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. That is concluding our first lesson of Tajweed for today. Inshallah, we continue now with the lesson of fiqh. So earlier, we had done the virtues of wudu. Now, we come to the next important part of wudu, and that is that before starting wudu, we should recite the dua, Bismillahi walhamdulillah. This is a sunnah dua, a dua mentioned in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that we should recite before starting our wudu, Bismillahi walhamdulillah. Now, regarding the wudu, in the ayat of the Qur'an where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about wudu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when, O believing people, when you are getting ready for your salah, then فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. Now there are four aspects that are mentioned in this particular ayah which are important for us to wash. Now I'm going to emphasize on that today so that we know the fara'id of wudu, that the compulsory portions of the body that need to be washed for wudu. So today let us concentrate on that. The four parts of the body that have to be washed in order for wudu to be complete. If any of these four are not done, the wudu will be incomplete. When will this apply? We don't normally make a wudu with just the fara'id. For example, if there is no water or there is limited water, then a person will suffice on the fara'id. So the first aspect which is farad in wudu, which is compulsory in wudu, is to wash the face. Now, where does the face start from? It will start from the hair where the hair on the forehead starts, going all the way around up to the earlobe, going all the way down and under the cheek. So this will be considered as the entire face. Now, to wash this entire face is the first farad of wudu, the first compulsory part. Now, when washing the face also, we must be taking into cognizance that the area of the eyes are part of the face, the area around the nose, above the lips. This is all part of the face and this needs to be washed. This is part of the farad. The second farad of wudu is for the hands to be washed, the arms from the fingertip up to and including the elbow. So we go up to this elbow. All of this must be washed correctly. Now, if a person is wearing long sleeves and you roll it up, we need to ensure that the sleeves are not rolled up just to a point and then we wash here. That is incorrect. The sleeves have to be rolled up right up to the top so that we can include the elbow in the washing of the arm. This entire arm is part of the second body part which needs to be washed in wudu. The third is masah. Now, regarding masah, which means to take a wet hand, basically you wet the hand, and then to pass it over the head. Now, according to the Hanafi madhab, at least minimum of a quarter of the head must be done in masah. That is the compulsory portion. So yes, included in the Hanafi madhab, what we would do is we would make masah of the entire head. But I'm only giving you what is the minimum requirement. According to other madhahib, it is the entire head. However, masah is the third aspect. And the fourth organ, the fourth part of the body that has to be washed is the feet. Now, the feet will be from the toes up to and including the ankle. That must be washed in wudu, including obviously now the area between the toes. This is part of the foot that has to be washed. This is imperative. This is compulsory. And especially the ankle. Very often when we are making wudu, we need to ensure that the heel and the ankles are also washed correctly. This is the 4 fara'id of wudu. So to recap, washing the entire face from the top of the forehead where the hair starts, going all the way around up to and including the earlobe, going up to the chin. This is the first. Then washing the arm from the fingertip up to and including the elbow. Then making masah of the head, at least quarter. And then washing the entire foot, which will include the ankles. These are the fara'id of wudu. Now, this is something we have to keep in mind in order for our wudu to be correct. This is the second lesson that we do on fiqh. And lastly, coming to the tafseer, yesterday we had done the tafseer of ta'awudh. Ta'awudh meaning a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. We now come to the tafseer of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Now, very often we may think that this is tafsir. What is Bismillah got to do with it? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which is known as Basmala, it is incumbent upon us to recite the Basmala before every surah of the Qur'an. Together with that, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is also an ayah of Surah An-Naml. So it features as part of the Qur'an as well. In the ayat of Surah An-Naml, Innahu min Sulaymana wa innahu Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. When Sulaiman alayhi salam sent a letter, then he wrote in it Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So this portion of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is actually an ayat of the Quran which is mentioned in Surah An-Naml. And this was a common practice of all the Anbiya alayhi salam. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam wrote letters, for example, to Herakl, to many others, it was stated in its beginning, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Min Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam ila azimir Rum, example. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim was very commonly written there. Now, what does Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim mean? The ba in the Arabic language means musahaba, something that is joining. Ba has got other meanings as well. Now here, when we say Bismillah, we are saying with the name of Allah. So Bismillah, ba, with the name of Allah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and then the two qualities of Allah, of Rahman and Rahim. Now, when we are saying with the name of Allah, then in Arabic, we need to find the verb. What are we saying with the name of Allah? So the verb that will be there will depend on our action. So the action that we are going to do will automatically become the verb of what we are doing with the name of Allah. Example, if a person is going to read Quran and he's saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, he's saying with the name of Allah I am reciting the Quran. If a person is stepping out of his house, he's saying Bismillah, he's saying with the name of Allah I am stepping out of the house. If a person is slaughtering, he's saying Bismillah, he's saying with the name of Allah, I am slaughtering. So this is what the ba in it refers to, and what is the importance of reading this? The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stated, Kullu amrin, every action, lam yubda bi Bismillah, wherein it was not started with the name of Allah, with Bismillah, then one hadith says, فَهُوَ أَقْطَعْ فَهُوَ أَجْدَمْ. This is not an incomplete action. Now this is something that we need to take into our minds, we need to bring into practice. Reading Bismillah before everything. No matter what we do, start off with the name of Allah. There will be barakah in it. In fact, one of the reasons, or one of the attributes of the word ba is also to bring barakah. So Bismillah, I'm starting with the barakah of the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So another important thing in the tafseer of the word Bismillah is, why do we not say, I am starting my recitation with the name of Allah? Here we're saying, with the name of Allah, I am starting my recitation. We are putting the word Allah first. Why? To make us understand that Allah is first, then our action. Allah is first, then whatever else I am doing. Also, what is the meaning in this? Whatever I am doing, Bismillah, it is for Allah, nobody else. There is absolutely no room for doing an action for somebody else. It is solely for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So like we find in the ayat of Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ. Allah doesn't say that people will do Hajj for Allah. Allah starts off, وَلِلَّهِ, for Allah to people do Hajj. Now obviously that's a very, very beautiful discussion on its own, that our Hajj is solely for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nonetheless, we learn from this here. So when we say Bismillah, the word Allah comes first. What is it teaching us? That I am doing everything solely for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This also reminds us of the sincerity that we need to have. Now, when looking at the tafseer of the word Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, how often we've been reading Bismillah for how many years? We haven't thought about the fact that Bismillah means with the name of Allah. But this is the actual tafseer of the word Bismillah. Now we come to the name Allah. So we're saying Bismi with the name Allah of Allah. What is Allah? What is this name Allah? This is the most beautiful name in the world. This is a name that has never been attributed to anyone but Allah. Nobody has ever claimed the name Allah. Nobody. So this word Allah, just taking the name of Allah is blessed. Sabbih isma rabbik. What does Allah say? Praise the name of your Lord. Praise the name. Tabarak ismu rabbik. And blessed is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the name in itself, taking the name of Allah, is blessed. And this is the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. It is by taking the name of Allah, making the dhikr of Allah, that the hearts will find contentment. So taking the name of Allah in itself is an ibadah. It is the dhikr of Allah. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ. Praise the name of Allah. تَبَارَكَ اسْمُ رَبِّكَ. Blessed is the name of Allah. So this is what is very, very important. That is why when our Akabir used to make the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they would say that Urdu couplet before, Allah, Allah, kaisa pyara naam hai. Allah, Allah, what a beautiful name it is. Now this is the beauty of the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why, now going back to the point of the root of the word Allah. Now if we take the Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu has narrated that the word Allah comes from the word aliha, and aliha means the one that is worshipped. And it is without doubt the one that is worthy of worship is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some other meanings that other mufassirin have given, waliha, it comes from the word waliha, means to be astonished. Who isn't astonished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Others say alaha, the one who you turn to for protection. And without doubt we all take protection in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Aliha, the one that we turn to for peace. Others say it comes from laha yalihu, which means the one that when you take the name of Allah, you raise and elevate yourself. However, taking the view of Ibn Abbas radiallahu an, aliha, the one who is worshipped. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got many names. فَدُعُوهُ بِهَا. Therefore, when you make dua to Allah, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through all of His names. Now, this is the beauty of the name of Allah. The famous incident of the Bedouin who, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was lying down in the shade and resting, and the sword of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was hung up. And this Bedouin came and he took the sword of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and he put it in the throat of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He's obviously at an advantage. He's standing. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is lying down and he says, مَن يَنْصُرُكَ مِنِّي مَن يَمْنَعُكَ مِنِّي. Who will save you from me now? And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam replied, Allah, Allah, Allah. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said the word Allah with such conviction that this Bedouin dropped the sword. Then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam picked up the sword and put it in his throat and said, now who will save you from me? This is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The name that millions take this name. Every time you say, oh Allah, Ya Allah. Sometimes even in our sleep when we're turning, we say, Ya Allah. This is the beauty of our beautiful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I conclude with one thing which our Kabir mentioned so beautifully. That the choice of the letters in the word Allah are so beautiful and unique that a person can take the name of Allah without even moving his lips. Allah, say the name Allah. You don't even have to move your lips. It is only the tongue that moves. Therefore, in so many occasions, a person may be in front of us. A person may be on his deathbed and we don't see his lips moving. Yet he will be able to say Allah. He will be able to take the name Allah at any given point in life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all. May Allah bless us all with the true love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is just the gist of the name Allah and of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inshallah, we will continue tomorrow. Until then, stay home, stay safe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all and grant shifa and cure to all those who are ill throughout the world. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.